On behalf of all the archons of the Order of St. Andrew, it is our honor to introduce the Exarch of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, our beloved Archbishop, Demetrios of America.
Thank you, Judge and Archon Bosonelis. Your Eminence, beloved, respected, and admired brother, Metropolitan Augustinus of Germany, Your Eminences, Metropolitans of Chicago, Atlanta, Detroit, France, Switzerland, Your Graces, Bishops of Nice and Lampsakos, Reverend Fathers, Herr Vorsitzender der Evangelische Kirche Deutschland, honorable ambassadors and diplomatic representatives, distinguished scholars and participants in this conference, archons of the St. Andrew Order of America and of Pamakaristos Brotherhood, participants in this conference, beloved Commander of the Archons, Dr. Limberakis, and three co-chairmen of the conference, and allow me also to mention the people who are responsible for videotaping, audio and video producing, what we see and what we don't see but are in printed form, which is Archon Furis, Archon Panagos, and John Mandela, and the rest of the people that are responsible for the details and the logistics of this conference, Father and Presbytera Carlutzos included. In this very place, President Reagan was not the first to make the observation of the significance of freedom. President Reagan, while he was here, said, "Tear down this wall." That's a famous phrase. Speaking exactly next door at the Brandenburg Gate, President Reagan's eyes knew more and saw more than a concrete barrier. The Berlin Wall was the symbol of a great divide between two competing philosophies, two world visions. On the one side, the democratic ideals of the West, on the other side, the Marxist values of the Soviet system. In that speech, President Reagan announced that the contest between these two systems had been decided. The open, free democratic society had won. By any measure, economic, technological, artistic, or scientific, democratic values surpassed the policies of the Iron Curtain. Liberty, the President said, leads to prosperity, mutual respect and peace. In his words, freedom is the victor. Freedom is the winner under any circumstances. President Reagan was not the first to make this observation. Alexis de Tocqueville, the great French historian and social critic, came in the same conclusion formed firsthand as he traveled down the Ohio River in America in 1831, before the time of Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation. At that time, on the one side of the river was the state of Kentucky, a slave state. On the other side of the river was the state of Ohio, a free state where slavery had been outlawed. Geographically, the two states were almost identical, but socially, Tocqueville found the differences to be profound. On the Ohio state side, work was honored, activity and industriousness were valued. On the Kentucky state side, labor was despised as a sign of servitude, while idleness was deemed a mark of superiority and aristocracy. On the Ohio state side, men invested themselves in education and studied self-control. On the Kentucky state side, men gave themselves over to hedonism and spectacle. Ohio was a younger state, but its population greatly exceeded Kentucky's. Among the state inhabitants of the Kentucky slave state, Tocqueville saw decadence and weakness. But in the free Ohio state, he saw innovation, business, boldness, creativity, progress. Thus he concluded, man is not made for any kind of slavery and limitation of freedom. And he added, that truth is perhaps even better proved by the master than by the slave. The master suffers more for the lack of freedom he imposes on the slave. That was the point of Tocqueville. It's a paradoxical, negative way, the truth that man is not made for slavery. What is true in the realm of politics and economics holds even more validity in matters of religion, in matters of conscience and heart. Man is not made for oppression. Man is not made to exist without the freedom of his own religious conscience. That truth is perhaps even better proved by the oppressor than by the oppressed. When in any given nation a majority limits or oppresses the free exercise of religion by a minority, whether in the name of religion or in the name of secularism, whether by pogroms or by parliamentary procedure, that majority ultimately hurts itself. That majority oppresses the soul and conscience of its own people. In matters of the spirit, in matters of religion, there is no other victor but freedom as a substantive existential condition for every person on earth. In the Christian tradition, the great Apostle Paul offers a terrific witness to this truth. As a former persecutor of Christians, he knew personally the terrible effects of oppressive action on the persecutor's own soul. He knew the spiritual blindness that this oppressive action against the Christians brought on him. 2 Corinthians 4:4. For St. Paul, therefore, freedom is fundamental to spiritual health for every human being and to true progress for every society and every nation on earth. St. Paul went as far as to boldly describe the saving action of Christ as a call to freedom. He said to the Galatians, "For freedom Christ has liberated us." Galatians 5, in the original τη ελευθερία Χριστός ημάς ελευθέρωσε. You have been called for freedom, he added. Ημείς επ' ελευθερία εκλήθητε. Freedom is thus the basic human calling. Freedom is the very purpose of religious faith and the defining mark of God's presence within the human person. Why? Because as human beings, we are created in the image and likeness of God. But God is absolutely free, dwells in perfect freedom, absolutely free and unfettered by any necessity or impediment. Therefore, as sons and daughters of God, as his image and likeness, human beings must be free. Any limitation, obstruction, or deprivation of freedom, especially freedom of full and genuine relationship with God, the creator of freedom, is totally inhuman, absolutely unacceptable, and unequivocally condemned. St. Paul is so passionate about freedom that he goes even a step further. He declares, speaking to the Romans, that freedom is the destiny of the entire creation. When the children of God are revealed, he says, writing to the Romans, the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and obtain, now the phrase that follows is beautiful, and obtain the glorious liberty of the children of God. Romans 8. The Christian eschatology includes not only the full freedom of human beings, but also the liberation of nature from its bondage to decay. Where there is freedom of spirit and of conscience, freedom of experience one's own religion, society thrives. All people of all faiths benefit mutually. America strives to be such a society because of its official stand of full tolerance for all faiths, and we have this experience. The joy of religious freedom in America is well illustrated by the following true and poignant story. Back in the 1990s, and before the collapse of the Soviet Union, under a cultural exchange program, Alan Abramsky and his family in Roanoke, Texas, were hosts to a Jew rabbi from Russia, from Soviet Union at that time, at Christmas time. They decided, Mr. Abramsky, to introduce the rabbi to a food treat, and they decided to go to a Chinese, their favorite Chinese restaurant. Throughout the meal, the rabbi spoke with great excitement about what he saw in North America in comparison to the bleak conditions in his homeland. When they had finished eating, the waiter brought the check and presented each of them with a small brass Christmas tree ornament as a seasonal gift.